So, this is the part where I will talk about Crysis Remastered, since I just finished playing the first part, and these are some points I wrote down. I didn't really think about them. It's just like I played the first one a bunch, so it's I think you have a better chance with me to really evaluate how much worth was really how much worth you really get out of this remaster. So first, the most important thing, of course. Wait, did I? Oh, okay, we landed in all of this. Uh, yeah, that these claps suddenly work um, was weird. Uh, this don't know why or where that came from. Okay, and I just saw um, yeah. I just saw something that wasn't there. Um, Maybe it could have been a glitch in like the picture for the stream that is generated in OBS is not necessarily um, the same I'm seeing. So maybe there's a little difference, but nonetheless, no. So let's raise that point. It's not really necessary anymore. So let's get you in there. Models and animation. The thing that yeah, right. So which do I want again? The rescue mission. I think it's not. Is this one? Nope. This is too far, eh? Da, da, da. Right. So, my problem with the new models is that everyone basically has the same head. One moment. This is where I first noticed that she had way too much of a jawbone compared to the original game. And then when we see her from up front, it becomes even more obvious that this entire model, like you could see clipping here, this part looks extremely unnatural. Even so it's supposed to be dust or something, but it looks wrong. And here, this doesn't look that bad. Was it here? Yeah, this shot looks extremely ugly. Like, what is this? Like, this thickness is more common by people like me that have way too much body fat. But someone who is as skinny as her, nay. And her face makes sense. But I'm comparing it to the original game, and the problem is actually a bit later. Nee, what is textures? Because like this is normal. We have the atypical V structure you find in many Asian people that are not Korean, because Korea has this culture of getting plastic surgery, so that's why I'm excluding them, since a lot of them getting plastic surgery to get rid of unevenness and stuff. But in the old game, she did not have these giant jawbones. The reason why I really want to highlight this is because they did extra models. A lot of this game felt like it was the original game. So I'm wondering how much were they able to import from the original game, because I really want to say that they got at least the buildings imported from there. That they found a way to make it compatible with the newest engine and just copy pasted a lot of stuff over, and then just had them run by a better engine. So what bugs me about this is those stretched textures that then came to be, or to make it more clear, like, sure, these could be scratches and dust particles just from working here in the dirt, since this is she was part of the team that unburrowed the alien stuff. So in a way, it's okay for her to be dirty, because they just grabbed her from one of the digging sites. But this looks extremely unclean as a texture. And if they remodeled everything, this makes no sense because they could have got they would have taken more care, you know. And if we said this is in CryEngine 4 or 5.6 point whatever, and why did they not give the models the same love as Crysis 2 or Crysis 3 and gave them realistic skin? Because let's not forget this is a remaster. This was highly praised by Crytek. This was supposed to get them back into the market. Instead of continuing to make free to play games. Plus, since Crysis 1 was a computer buster back in the day, this entire remaster thing was set up to fail straight from the start, because if this released pre-Ryzen technology, it could have easily been a computer buster. But ever since the Ryzen tech came onto the market, every PC became insanely powerful. And especially something like Crysis 1. Like, why would the remaster take more resources than the original when the textures are not even better than the original one? Or everything inside of it. If they are not more intensive, I should rather say. So, a lot of this stuff looks as scuffed as the first part, as the first edition of the Crysis series, and that is totally fine. But I expected better detail of each model, because when you go back and look at the stuff that's in that game, a lot of it suddenly looks pale and stiff and clean. Even skin looks more like a freshly scrubbed and polished tabletop. So all of it looks quite awkward, and they try to make it more grounded or more based into reality by adding a lot of dust on her arms and on her body. But all that does for me is just show more how absolutely scuffed and bad this old model is, or more like the old textures. Because if it's true that it's in the newest engine, and they also remastered Crysis 2 and 3, why is it that the skin looks so bad? On the other hand, I really like the basic stone and ground textures. I have a really big grief against shitty stone textures because maybe get something where it's not as bloody. When the Unreal 5 engine got released and given into the public hand for a small price, everyone the next generation of games suddenly had a lot of these same textures and same assets because they used, of course, what was handy, you know. The Unreal Engine back then also was really freaking amazing. Today it's even better. And when you're on medium or lower settings in the Unreal Engine, every stone became ugly blank. They had these kind of grayish particles. Not this hole, but just here, this small area. And they were basically 2 or 3 colors max. But here, you can see how much fake 3D is on these things. Or is it even real? I would have go back. I would need to go back in and see and take that more under a lens. But fake 3D is basically if you paint shadows into the textures to make it seem like there's a hole, but when you look close, it's just a really even surface. And I think fake 3D is something that makes stuff like gravel and ground structures and things like this, every texture get enhanced by fake 3D. It's not something that is something. It is something extremely artistic and good for every game. But that is why I judge the game by its lowest quality texture, which is always stone, since stones are simple, so to speak. Even a wall like this has a lot of rough stuff just by getting created. You know, a lot of bubbles and scratches and leftovers form a wall into a different thing, especially when it's on Lingshan, which is a backwater. Like every building here does not seem to be in good care. Like you see rough particles here and here, then suddenly there are earthquakes, so even the good buildings start to see wear and tear. And that is what Crysis 1 nicely translates here, and I think that is one of the best points of the remaster, that the general textures for ground and walls, they look really alive. But the textures on actual living things, quite trash. The only textures that look halfway acceptable are the ones on the soldiers. I especially do not want to take the nanosuits in, because it's like saying, yeah, the protagonist, of course, has the best, the most detail. Yeah, because he, if you look at the entire campaign of the Crysis series, it's always about the nano gear. So of course it looks the very best that it can. But when I was looking into detail close to the weapons, and I'm very glad I got exactly this shot, nice RNG is on my side is that you don't really see curves and edges here. This is just a clean surface with fake 3D on it. And like I said, this fake 3D is really nice. This is awesome. But I'm currently spoiled by Horizon Zero Dawn, where every corner, every little blip here is actually on the model and not just a texture with it painted on it. So also, since this is a remaster, they would have the time to put it in, or at least this would be something I would expect out of a remaster. If this was like the release game, the normal Crysis, I wouldn't mind it, you know. Or if it was like a mod or an add-on that would update your graphics. But this was released as a full game. I think something around $40 it was on release. I would have to look it up. Why don't I just look it up? Come on. Crysis Master cost on release. Oh, $50. So it's a full AAA thing, and I think I should just say it again and more clearly. This is based on an existing product. That existing product had a really high standards to its previous history, because it was a PC buster, and if you really think back, if you would release a game today that would only grind on 15 frames at best, no one would buy that game. Also, it would get a lot of hate. But Crysis had the best graphics back then. So suddenly there was this extreme positive where something that wasn't a thing before became a thing then. You know, there's, for example, Operation Flashpoint, that had something similar, where if you look at it today, it would probably not catch as many eyes because all the mechanics are already known to the market. Yeah, everybody knows. But the graphics Crysis 1 brought at the very first day, no one had those. So sorry about that. Yeah, nobody had those. So it got away with murder, basically. Murdering your PC. So that means that a remastered cannot just upscale the basic graphics and copy everything that came before. Fuck, what was it called? Because some games get the remastered title, like for example Resident Evil 4 on Steam has a remastered title. I'm gonna look it up real quick. Remaster. Wait, don't have it. Resident Evil 4. It does not have a remastered title ahead of it, which is really weird. Because all of it is just upscale graphics. So a lot of stuff looks extremely stretched and so. But Crytek went the extra step and redid the entire model, because this gun was black and black, but they had their designer change up color schemes and add more detail to the original skin. But in my eyes, that is not enough. It is just the old weapon again. And if you don't really change how this weapon works, at least you need to accurately represent the detail on the weapon. And once more, I'm currently spoiled by Horizon Zero Dawn that even have the a scarf realistically represented. Yeah, every wave in a scarf is actually on the texture. So that's why I'm holding this remaster to that standard, because we should, especially someone who tried to blast the market again with a game that had this history. Yeah. So we had ground textures, we had model. I talked a bit about weapons, or at least this weapon texture. Should be enough for this point. Options. Yes. My current PC is the first PC I ran Crysis 1, the original Crysis, solidly on 60 FPS medium graphics, was a FX 6300, 6 core 3.6 gigahertz, and overclocked to 4.1, and a 1060, or did I run it on my 750 Ti? Both, I think, because I did the math for 750 Ti and only ran it at 720p. And I only got it to medium. The 1060 then allowed me to raise a lot of stuff to high. Of course, water effects and explosion effects I would have to dial down, but everything else I could rise to high, no problemo. So why can a PC that is 3 times as strong only run this game on medium? Because I'm currently running the Ryzen 5 3500X, and the 3500X is not a good Ryzen 5. It's the last CPU model that will not have multi-threading, but I'm comparing it to a processor that was made for data, not for gaming, but to be more or less a server CPU. So it's a fair example in that way. Also, a negative to that 3500X is that it was originally a, a 2.6 gigahertz CPU, but they modified they tuned the A3 cage, doubled it, pumped more wattage into it, and that allowed them to raise the max autoclock to 4 gigahertz, which is quite awesome. This CPU um, rivals a lot of its brethren and kindred CPUs in the Ryzen 3000 series. So, and even the newest one, if you just surface level compare them, they often only get like +5, +7, +10% more power than this one. So I'm in this awkward spot where do I really upgrade or not? Because it's at a high risk that the cost of the new CPU will not really be worth it. So I mostly will be stuck with the same power or a similar power set. But nonetheless, if I need to be clear, this comparison is not a real comparison, but I do this in order to surface level compare stuff. Not this. This is not 100% accurate. This is maybe 50% accurate. Because they have a lot of stats like this. This is interesting, but this is absolutely trash. This is also like, why does age even matter? You know? So yeah, 33% more. I would say that shows how awesome that old tech was. But the most important break is that now I'm not running on 1333 megahertz on RAM, but on 3200 megahertz RAM. Yeah. I'm a bit amazed about the surface level comparison. I thought it was more as a stronger gap. But anyways, this CPU should be able to run high on a 60 frame target. So I'm quite upset that it's not doing it. I even said that I felt somewhat personally attacked when I wasn't able to pull it off. And oh, it actually recorded frames. Okay, it didn't show on OBS. It did record the frame rates and stuff. And when I had to settle for medium settings on a modern PC, that is just not good. Yeah. I still find my point to be quite weak, and I'm thinking about how can I make it more solid. Um, the one thing that was most strange to me was that ray tracing only worked on high shaders. The moment I went to medium, I no longer could enable ray tracing, which I find kinda weird since that was also one of the main selling points of this game. I don't know the mechanics behind it, but I imagined ray tracing always as a object that is actually in the sky, and the graphics card is calculating the shadow straight from that object, from that light source, or from multiple light sources instead of having the creator paint the shadows of each texture. So that surprised me when suddenly I had to settle for normal shadows. Yeah, as you can see there, ray tracing got disabled automatically. Next on the chopping block, levels and redesign. Uh, yeah. What is there to say? Um, they didn't really redesign the levels, but they adjusted some stuff to look more natural. I really appreciated it. Was this here? Bro, the timeline of the levels currently in my head is really messed up. Sorry about that. It's the end of this one very simple and easy example. Yeah, this convoy, because the convoy in and of itself was first towards the tunnel that is here, that they have them aligned more to the main street where you're coming from. Really is more realistic, especially since that tunnel is shut down. It's filled with a lot of stones for level design reasons, instead of a invisible wall, you know. Yeah, feels way more immersive to have it like this. That they of course corrected that one stick to keep you from getting an MG to this point is it's okay. The MG made it way too hard, way too easy. But yeah, they didn't really change stuff in the levels that would make it feel a lot different. On the AI side of things, it I need to be a bit harsher on the AI sort of things. I think I talked about it quite early on. Especially in this level, where you free the hostage. In the old game, there was a second wave of AI coming with the tanks that spawned in this level, and it always made sense in my mind, since tanks, especially in low numbers, want infantry to protect them, especially in urban areas like these ones. Like, a tank is extremely overpowered, but at the end of the day, it needs one rocket to slay a tank or make it immobile. So, not having that infantry force with the tanks, it didn't break immersion, but this is an action shooter, so a lot of shooting things is nice, you know. So it felt I felt a hole of stuff missing. Yeah, usually you would escape this room. There would be a guy with a shotgun on these stairs. That's also why I went down first, because there he would be lurking, and then 8 AI and groups of 2 or 3 would slowly swarm the building, and you're used to have the chance of either fighting them slowly, or just rush out with a cloaking field, take a position close to the tanks and blow them up before advancing forward. Even so, the safest play would be to just be upstairs and get the first tank from top, from up top. Weapons. That certain weapon spawns suddenly weren't there was extremely irritating for me. This level is the hardest target for it, since this area was mostly the same. But when I got here and liberated it, I took a minute to see. Oh right, I restarted the recording here, right? To see what's up top and everything. And not only did they take out the Gauss ammunition from the VTOLs, but also on the roof and stuff, there's not the extra heavy ammunition for the minigun. There's not the extra sharpshooter ammunition, not the extra shotgun ammunition, and yeah, especially the sharpshooter ammunition that was supposed to be on this roof. But then also on that roof was not a nanosuit guy. And at that point I already knew that it wouldn't be there. It looked a bit higher, so I even played it safe with armor mode, which I usually don't do. But yeah, then another thing, or going one step back to the AI stuff, that they dialed back AIs to shoot, is probably because resource management, making them more scarce, and making them smaller groups would also free up resources for the user's computer and make it run smoother, right? But then here, when I fought this scenario, first I didn't know who was shooting me, and it was a nanosuit guy, which is totally okay. But the AI that spawns over here, or is supposed to spawn over there, in the original game, they would already be here. But instead here, they have the APC, this anti-infantry thing, staying here and siege you. So you blow it up, and in order to keep the heat going, that nanosuit guy is also irritating you in this scenario till you come to about this crossing here, and then the remaining AI spawn, which is absolutely awful in this case, because I just got owned. Because I felt safe here, and suddenly I hear 2-3 guys behind me. They cover, so I try to cloak because there was this other guy. Then I thought I had a safe spot over there where I only need to kill the last guy. Then I will have cover from the others, so I can recover my HP that I lost. But I did not get into that position. Also, a thing I kept noticing is that the I cannot really tell if it's a good thing or not, but in the time you fade or fade in and fade out of cloak mode, the AI would the moment you fade out, the AI would get information at the first pixel, the first moment you faded out. And if you fade in, the AI would get information till the last pixel you faded into cloak. So, and sometimes even after that, the AI would receive an update where you were and still shoot at you. And, the first one is okay. The second one, nay. I should probably have kept it even, that the moment you start cloak, they already start spraying and praying, like they so often do. And that would probably be more clean. What now their decision was against it, I don't know. Maybe there was a problem with the AI then completely getting stuck or something, who knows. But what they ended up with felt extremely unrealistic and unfair at times. Yeah. But besides that, the AI remained mainly the same, besides the nanosuit guys, but we will talk about them in a moment. But yeah, they felt the same. They were reasonably smart. They actually had better swarming patterns. For lower numbers, they were for lower numbers, they actually felt equally powerful as if they had large numbers. Was the same as before. And yeah, and this grips into what I just said. So you need to cross a certain line for them to spawn in. And this is not uncommon. This is something quite regular in video games. I don't really blame them for it, but here it was cut way too short. I should be able to shoot the AI here. In fact, when I just got up this hill, they should already be shooting at me. Like, about this point, yeah, at least one should be spotting me and informing the others to shoot. And then here I should start getting lit up. That's why I also did the rolling stop, because I thought I would get under fire, because I didn't realize that the zone, yeah, uh, was this close, and that is extremely lethal range. At that range, the AI barely even misses. Yeah, it hit, in best case scenario, it hits 2 out of 3 shots, and then there are 4 of these guys. So it's that's not good. So in general, also what I welcomed was that a lot of AI were differently placed than in the original. That not only did they went to positions that were more realistic, um, in a way, when they stood as a group, it was at a place where team leaders would stand and inform or get informed from their squad leads and squad mates, and they it make the places made sense, not in a game kind of sense, but in a story kind of sense. So, and it also contributed to the fact uh, that there were less AI, but they didn't feel as if there were less. Yeah, this entire area was bad with AI spawning, though. The guy couldn't even snipe the guys that were supposed to be up here, which then feeds back into my thinking that they made rather these spawn areas, spawn points, because of resource management. But in Crysis 1, like I said, I can play this on high settings, and all of this can load, and I still have my 60 frames. So I never had frame drops in this area. So they changed something that made it so more performance would be needed. Now to talk about the new um, I don't, was it here? Yeah, our first encounter with the new nanosuit guys. So here is where I feel like they most succeeded and failed the remaster in of itself, because the nanosuit AI actually got smarter, had better patterns of swarming me, and The first time I died to them, that was really freaking nice. Yeah, I completely did not notice them sneaking up on me. Was he just here? Oh, this was before when I wasted my grenades because the event didn't trigger. Yeah, here. Because usually I could bait AI with a grenade toss and some smokes. And this time it wasn't possible. Instead of updating on the explosion, they updated on the point where the grenade was thrown from. But there's one thing. Wait, let's finish that part. And that makes them extremely more lethal. But here's the problem. They um, come on, Brian. You can do this. The nanosuit in the original Crysis 1 had this blue tethering going on. And when you throw smokes, you could see this blue lightning way more clearer. So that's why I threw those smoke grenades out there, because I wanted to sneak out those blue lightnings. Like the smokes still might be the most effective because you see the bubble effect. You might see it more clearer since smoke has multiple layers, and so it might become visible better. But since the nano guys have the same cloaking skin that you have, you do not see those blue tethers. And I think he is here. Not sure though, because when he gets here, that's when he shoots me, and I think see his bubble here. But anyway, that is my point. If you really focus before, you can even see the nanosuit when you just whiff over it. And also the blur effect with the areas around it weren't that good. It was even without the lightning, the old overlay, you could relatively easily make out where a cloaked unit is. And then the blue lightning was the instant tell that is actually something wrong with what you are seeing there. And it's probably hostile. And then you had the extra step of the smoke grenade, because that would distinguish any doubt that if there is a nanosuit guy there or not. But now that they have this very clean nano gear, this is no longer the case. Let's see this again. Yeah. From where did he come? Let's go back again. Yeah. No indication. They spawn all on this left side. Like this this half or third that I'm in, none of these are. They all spawn on my left side. Yeah, let's do it slow. It's blurry, of course, but there's no blob, no lightning. Then suddenly he is. Of course, there's a possibility that he went behind me all the way around and then came in through this door or something, through this gateway, and then blasted me. But that is, I don't think that is a possibility. So. Let's take more looks at it. Yeah, I think this is also adding, because we just had the flash here. But how clear is that this is his bubble, his cloak skin? It's like 85-90% transparency. It's so hard to see. And yeah. This frame actually shows even a bigger issue, because not only are the nano guys able to shoot without uncloaking, they also, you do not see the light reflected in them. And now, yes, a normal weapon does not have a weapon flash like this. Only video games have this sort of flash, because you come on, Brian. Why was it that they wanted to display the fire flame of a gun? My brain is not downloading the info right now. So I have to halfway skip this point. But yeah, the thing is, in order to display the flash of a rifle, you have to create this extremely unrealistic PNG. Because in reality, the flash is so short and see-through that you would never see it. But you want an indication that you shot, plus it looks flashy. Yeah. But then why is there no light reflection on the nano weave? On the nano gear? Because that would be something that would need processing of the suit itself. I don't really mind that they are shooting while invisible. What I mind is really that the nano gear in of itself does not have an obvious tell. And that is what you this is a solo play. This is not a hyper realistic shooter. This is a video game. So you want some sort of tell. And like the first time, they can just sneak up on me, and I need to be somewhat lucky to get the first draw on them. They have to miss. And I do not like to win, because I'm forced to wait on a mistake on my enemy. No one likes it. Like, it's like playing a game from behind. Like in League of Legends, like you're 10,000 gold behind, so you want to wait till the enemy team does Baron or Elder Dragon, one of the really big guys. So you have that neutral as a sixth player on your team. Or on Counter-Strike, like your economics got completely fucked. So you have like only pistols against assault rifles. Your opponent needs to fuck up for you to even claim one of their weapons. This is what this feels like. Fighting one of the cloaked dudes. And when we follow up on this, bro, even on really close, you barely make out the silhouette of this guy. Yeah, of course, sprint, strength are heavily distinguished. And all I'm saying is, in order to rightly adapt this, he just vaulted this wall, and I have no idea where he is. Yeah, and the way the old game fixed this or made this was this really intense blue lightning that you had. Like, there's already dust. This just got knocked over. Like, I know someone is back here. Maybe I even see him, but I have no idea that there's someone on this side of the wall. Lula missed. Yeah. Then different scenario again. It's the quarry again. Yeah. Because one moment. Okay. So I'm driving. Yeah. I see I'm getting ambushed here. This is absolutely scaring the ever living shit out of me. Because right now I don't realize that he's there. I think I'm gonna drive this car here and then just can have a machine gun blast it or over here. Like, even now my brain is so baffled that there is a second tank. It just doesn't want to realize it. But here's the main question. Where's the nanosuit guy? You saw him? I saw him. Yeah. He is here. You can see his legs, head. But you have to guess where he is. So adding him here to as a factor to keep you on your toes is actually bad. Because you're already fighting one overwhelming enemy. If you had instead a 3-man squad that was rushing me there, that would even be more fair. I'm even thinking about placing a sniper on this to pin me down, and I don't see a good spot or where it would or a spot where it would produce this exciting fear that you're between life and death, but your skill could carry you here, and then when your skill succeeds, you get this rewarding high. So I don't see how a sniper really could enhance the situation. Just like the placement with this nanosuit guy. But this entire level was quite butt cheeks. Yeah. He is on his standard position. The guy over here was the one that originally was up here on top. But I placed him down with a machine gun. Then we had one guy here that completely vanished. Or he might be the guy I killed in between. That I killed like over here somewhere. All in all, I find the new suit guys to be more challenging than the old one. But I really do not like the new cloaking aspect, because that does not feel challenging. That requires too much attention. And not everyone is a good shooter or someone who pays as much attention as I or someone else would, with more trained in shooter games. But yeah, I don't want to grind this point much more. Last one is voice lines. The thing I couldn't make out is if they did all the voice lines new. Because some stuff they said, I'm not going to search for examples because they were so few. It's really hard to really pick them out. The voice line, some of the voice lines they said, just didn't really hit the spot, or they felt quite awkward. And since I've played this game many times before, let's just open this for entertainment purposes, to have something on screen. Since I've played this many times before, suddenly hearing something different is quite irritating. It's as if you have a book, you have read it multiple times, and then someone else gives you the same book, but with an updated cover, and every 20th page you would read a line that is different. Like, it was really rare. And some were welcome, some were extremely awkward. Yeah, awkward or welcome. That's the best way I can describe it. But yeah, at this time I should say again, I just randomly started this. This sequence does not really fit my point, since those few voice lines really are randomly spread. and I didn't mark it on any sort of recording. Yeah. Also, suddenly crosshair. That was also really weird. It was not even the crosshair that was selected in the menu. It was just there. And it was a weird one. Yeah. So I think we are coming to the end, and that brings the question of, is Crysis Remastered somewhat equal, maybe better, maybe worse than its predecessor? Man, that was an awkward way to get to my channel, eh? I don't have a Crysis playlist. What the fuck? I don't have it recorded on YouTube. What the heck? Well, anyways, I don't think that on a base level they succeeded uh, the base product, because fucking knows, this is the end and you suddenly wanted me to blow you. What the heck? So the way I experience no, come on. The way I interpreted the goal of Crysis Remastered was to get Crytek back on the gaming map. Yeah, they wanted to take the industry by storm again by recreating the old memory, but they horribly failed. Maybe not horribly, but they failed. And they failed harder than just failed. And the reasons for that is that the models look updated, but definitely crafted with less love. And the only models that really look better than the previous ones are the nanosuits. And that is a given. But then the nanosuits are like 3% of the game. And just because 3% of the game look amazing, I'm not gonna give this game a pass. Especially as a hardcore fan. Yeah. Here is it where I take a closer look if those lines in the suits are really there, or if they are just painted on. So now on a graphical level, it didn't blow me away like Crysis 1 did on release, and especially on a technical level, that the modern PC, like my PC should be able to handle high settings of this game. and it isn't optimized enough for that. Like, if a game stresses you out because it stresses the PC out because it wants to do it, that's just bad. Like, sure, the graphics look a lot better on high, but not to a amount that justifies me breaking 1/3 of my entire performance or even more. Because it's like a snap. Yeah, I went from 5860 to 45 and less. That was just terrible. One thing that just came to mind that I didn't test, so I'm gonna test it now, is ray tracing. Because maybe it's wait, it's on Epic, not on Origin. Is that maybe ray tracing was janking too much processor power. But I thought ray tracing was mainly GPU, graphics card. Come on, start. So that's a little bit confusing. But hey, I want to be fair, and if it only takes me like a minute or two to maybe see if I misinterpret it or what else, you know. It's just a minute. Let's do the good old new. Other than that, alright, I should drastically reduce the volume of the game because the game is not important right now. Or at least what is said in the game is not important. And yeah, I think on a game technical level, this has been quite the disaster. And then also, a thing they marketed was the can it run Crysis mode. You know, quick go here and look at this. This was something to push the physics and graphics in a game to the next level, but pretty much everyone who tried that said that it barely does anything, but it costs 5 million% more load. So it's absolutely trash. Like I said, just having something to stress something out more makes no sense. And in this case is like they said they would be able to render every sand corn on the beach. But here's the question. Do you see any sand corns? You know? The reason why you don't see any sand corns is because they would eat way too much processing power. And that's why why they reduce the amount of AI in an area in order to de-stress the entire system. So suddenly they want over 1,000 or even hundreds of objects extra in every region. That just looks like a beginner error. So, and I will also try Can It Run Crysis here in a moment. And let's see if my PC melts. This is the direct test. I forgot to start fraps. Goog, goog. Hmm. Of course, I forgot to also put these in. Okay. I'm gonna have to eat my own words a little bit. Because... Wait. Hi. Because if it is true that only ray tracing was causing these giant performance issues, it's still an isolated case. But we can already see we are on 40 something FPS. But what we can also see is that the game runs a lot cleaner. We now enable ray tracing. We will start to warp a little bit. Oh wait, ray tracing was on. Let's switch it off. And everyone who thought that my PC was maybe too weak to run this in high settings, they eat this. So it might not be able to run the ray tracing, but it got the frames that are needed. But it's still a disappointment to a degree. Like, I didn't know that ray tracing would eat that much processing power. That is really a surprise right now. Yeah, this is not a surprise. Okay. Don't want to overdo it. You know, my CPU is good, but not that good. So And this I can even out by probably putting these a bit lower. And then we should get an overall cleaner frame rate. Not better, but cleaner. Yeah. Okay, that's everything I wanted to test here. So, is there anything else? I wanted to test the can it run Crysis mode. At least have a sneak peek at that. Okay, this sand definitely looks better. And I think this is also a prime example of fake 3D, how much it enhances an entire area. Because you really have to stop and particularly look at it. Because if you only look at it with half an eye, haha, it really doesn't show that it's just a flat surface. You know? But all I can say to this, I'm actually quite disappointed with the high settings. Wait, Turtle Bro had one of the most ugliest textures in all of Crysis, from low to high. So, but his details greatly improve with each graphic settings. So that's why I always look at Turtle Bro. Yeah, he looks good. Okay, we gonna run to one enemy and inspect his model, but that's gonna be all it is for this, because yeah, on a fundamental level I said that this game failed because it doesn't really improve the graphics to a good extent, but this is actually no longer true. So my main negative point is somewhat gone. Yeah, of course there is still my point about the general modeling of everyone and everything. Where skin does a lot less realistic. Even so, they updated it. Shooting on 30 frames it has gotten quite hard. So yeah, but Wait, what was... Bruh. You come in here after 9 hours. 9 hours. And write that in my chat. Ooh. What was I saying? Right. Target right now is just get these and get another impression of skin textures, because they were really fucking bad. So and to answer the question of chat, no, that's not a question, that's an answer. You can run it with ray tracing and DLSS. DLSS, yes. Ray tracing, nah. As I just tested, ray tracing costs way too much CPU power to be worth it. It basically crashes the frame rate from clean 60 to 45 and even under 30. I don't know. Give me a face. This still looks ugly as fuck. But in this case, this texture is actually not too bad. Even so, you can see that it's stretched. What about the guy on the rock? He fell on his face. Yeah. As I was saying, the dirt effects that they added to get the faces more contour, to highlight face structure and such, really make it seem more outdated than it helps the texture in of itself. Yeah, because these are ugly fucking arms. Yeah, and if you don't believe me, look at your own arm. How many uneven things there are, and these are just almost one straight line. And as I hope the can it run Crysis barely even improves. Let's go one step down, one step down to the normal very high thingy magic. Yep. Yeah, no. Yeah. But to say the same thing for the last time, but a little bit different. These textures that they added look like someone took the skin to paint and slightly brushed over the color till it became a sludge, and then put it on here and said this improves everything. But like I said before, this game is in a better engine than Crysis 3 or at least at minimum of a similar engine like Crysis 3. And this is the best they can do for a face, for skin. No, I ain't having it. Yo. But I have to take back what I said about performance. This is an alright performing game. Yeah. Okay, that's it. I said everything I wanted to say. So should you get this? Maybe. I cannot recommend it, but I also don't want to say you should get it and play it. No? This is also not a game for a rainy day. This is more like when you have a bad hangover, massive headache, and you don't want to waste your you don't want to put your bad mood over a good game, rather put it on a mediocre or even bad game. This is basically where this game stands. Not bad enough to be trash, but not good enough to get any praise. Yeah. See ya and good night.